A region of stunning beauty, the largest single wetland area on the entire planet, a natural heritage of rich biodiversity. The Pantanal, a far-flung paradise of waters covering parts of Brazil, Bolivia and Paraguay. A natural home to innumerable plants and animal species. A place that plays a vital role in supplying water, stabilizing the climate and conserving soils. Apart from all the environmental benefits, it also makes a strong economic contribution in the form of tourism and cattle-raising activities. The upper Paraguay River Basin is much larger than the Pantanal floodplain. It occupies an area 15 times the size of Switzerland and takes in the highland plateaus where the rivers that form the Pantanal begin their existence and acquire their force. It is as if the Pantanal Basin were a shallow bowl that every year slowly fills up and then empties again. In the lower part of the basin, the alternation between the seasons of high water and low water dominates the rhythm of life. That is why the conservation of the Pantanal is so closely tied to maintaining the natural cycle of its waters. However, this rich diversity that forms such a special ecosystem is actually very sensitive and vulnerable. It needs to be thoroughly understood and preserved by everyone. And there are many threats surrounding the Pantanal region. The danger first appears in the headwaters of the rivers that make up the basin. In the highest parts, unsustainable cattle ranching and the disorderly expansion of agriculture call for constant attention. Materials used in agriculture contaminate the soil and the water. Deforestation is destroying the springs, causing erosion and silting up the rivers. Very few people are aware of how important the region is to the Pantanal's existence.
Nessa região denominada de Arco das Nascentes é que o Pantanal é formado, ou seja, as nascentes se localizam nessa região, na região do Planalto, na região do Cerrado, e as águas carregam todos para o Pantanal. Então, como consequência dos processos de degradação que aqui ocorrem, a repercussão é diretamente sobre a vida e sobre a formação do Pantanal.
In the floodplain areas of the lower part of the basin, infrastructure projects, industries and unplanned and disorderly land use and land settlement are also serious threats. The greatest wetland formation on Earth deserves special attention. That is why WWF is unfolding integrated actions in Brazil and Bolivia to conserve the Pantanal and address the region as a whole. The aim is to come up with solutions that will conserve natural resources and at the same time benefit the basin populations. In Bolivia, WWF is highly active among the communities living in the regions that surround the Pantanal. It fosters and promotes sustainable cattle management, stimulates the environment responsibility of businesses and corporations, and contributes to designing land use and settlement schemes that respect the region's hydrological cycle. WWF supports two very important conservation areas, totaling 3.9 million hectares. The Otuquis National Park and the San Matias Integrated Management Natural Area.
Ahora con el área protegido ya se ha viabilizado ese respeto, ya tenemos más algo de conservar nuestra riqueza, nuestra biodiversidad, y eso es lo que nos ha interesado, nos ha llamado la atención gracias a la WWF.
Environmental education activities contribute to strengthening the bonds between the communities and the Pantanal and disseminating scientific knowledge and awareness about the ecosystem as a whole. In Brazil, WWF is active on several fronts. It stimulates certified organic cattle ranching and good cattle raising practices as a way of combining economic activity with protection of the environment. Support for the creation of privately owned nature reserves is one way of helping to preserve the natural landscapes of the Pantanal. One example of that kind of stimulation of sustainable activities is the support WWF gives to the project of the Amor Peixe Women's Association in Corumbá, Mato Grosso do Sul. Support for projects protecting native species like the hyacinth macaw and the Pantanal jaguar contribute to reducing the risk of those species becoming extinct. WWF is also active in efforts to recuperate and protect the springs that give rise to the rivers that flow into the Pantanal. One of these endeavors in that direction has been in the municipality of the Cabaçal Reserve, where the existence of many springs and waterfalls was seriously threatened. Integrated work involving the local community itself is managing to recuperate a series of degraded areas.
Nós criamos GT aqui e começamos a procurar participar de curso e começamos a aprender a lidar mais com os recursos naturais aqui no município, né?
The Pantanal, fauna and flora of extraordinary beauty and abundance. An ecosystem with characteristics that cannot be found anywhere else on the planet. A landscape composed of constantly changing forms, colors and sounds. But at the same time, a fragile and seriously threatened system that calls out for our care, understanding and assistance.